If you're advertising on Meta and you're not getting any sales, this video is for you. I've been running ads for close on 10, 11 years now and run ads for multiple companies, 220 companies that I've worked with and millions of dollars in spend. I worked with one of the biggest high performance coaches running his funnels or building his funnels and running campaigns. And I thought, let me make this video because one, it's kind of off the cuff. I have prepared something, but I wanted to talk about ads not working and if you're not getting any sales. This is probably the most common problem or challenge that people have. And so I wanted to walk you through this. Now, I know it's messy, but I'll walk you through it, right? So the trouble is, your ads are not working and you're not making any sales. Okay, fine. So if you're not making any sales, most probably there's probably a couple of reasons, right? One is maybe your creatives just suck, right? That's what we're talking about here. Perhaps your funnel is broken. Perhaps there's just a funnel issue, and all that comes down to is the offer, right? It's like, what does your offer look like? Is your offer even appealing to people? Like, what exactly are you trying to sell? Okay, so if your ads are not working, maybe your creatives are stuck. Maybe you're just not making enough creatives. You're struggling with creatives. Your funnel is broken, and maybe your offer is just not the right offer, right? This creates a bunch of things. Obviously, it's disappointing. It's frustrating. You feel this loss of money. You're confused. You're, what is this word? You're undervaluing yourself. Maybe you're even feeling failing, You're basically just going down this negative spiral. And so what is the meaning that you ascribe to? What is it that you're thinking about yourself? You think that you can't succeed. You perhaps conclude that ads don't work, right? Because that's the belief that you had. You have this thing that maybe nobody loves you, right? Because you're not good enough. You have low self-esteem, or it causes you to have low self-esteem, right? You feel like you've lost effort, meaning you've put all this time, you've put all this energy, you've put all this effort into making a campaign, working on the creatives, developing the ads, writing the copy, and because of all of that, it's like a waste of effort, a waste of time, just a waste of energy, and of course, the waste of money, right? So waste of time, waste of money. Okay, and then what is the behavior that you go down? What is the rabbit hole that you end up going down? You end up taking no action. You pause the ads, but no action. It causes procrastination because you feel like you should be doing other stuff. Maybe you're going to social media. You're, trying to drown your sorrows. Maybe you're depressed. You're feeling sad. You're feeling upset. Perhaps even angry. You downsize. Maybe you cut team members. Maybe you start firing people. And I'm going to push this over, right? Maybe you start firing people. And I've got more on the screen here to the side. But maybe you start cutting costs, and you blame Meta, you blame your team, you blame the creative, you blame all of these things. And you declare yourself as a failure. Not the campaign, you declare yourself as a failure. And that's obviously not good, not healthy, not good for your mindset. You declare, again, you say, ads don't work. And you just reinforce the belief that you had up here, right? You're reinforcing this belief. And despite the fact that you've seen proof, right, you know that the stuff works. You know that there's a ton of people. Maybe you've seen people run ads. Maybe you've run ads before. Maybe you're in a community of people who are winning. They're making thousands of dollars a month or whatever the case may be. But you are declaring to yourself that ads don't work, or that you're not good enough, or whatever the case may be. You don't have the skills, whatever the challenges are. And so what I want you to do, what I'd like you to do is to actually think of it a different way. And I'm going to walk you through this framework. Okay? So ultimately what you want, your ultimate result is that you want ads to print money. This is everybody's goal. We want ads to print money, and I'll use a different color here because I think it's important. You want your ads to print money. And you don't want to be just successful. Like having a 2x ROAS or a 3x ROAS is good, but ultimately you want that big ROAS. You want 9, 10, 15x ROAS. You want profit, but you want huge amounts of profit. Why do you want all this stuff? Because you want freedom. Because you want lifelong success. You want to maybe be able to build an investment portfolio. You want to invest in real estate, or you want to grow your team so that you can actually scale up. You want to do all of these things, not just for fancy toys, but you also want to build maybe a legacy. You want to do stuff with your life. Okay? Then in terms of strategy, right, you need a strategy, or you need a behavior, or you need a system to support this ultimate result. Because if you want that ultimate result, then what you've got to do is you've got to work on and use a testing mindset, right? You've got to use a testing methodology to test pretty much everything. And so you need to write down the options. You need to work on those things and work on slow iterations, slow methodical iterations to get the ball rolling. At least put up one campaign, then test again, look at the bottlenecks, look at maybe the issues. Ask yourself, why isn't this working? Or how could you be making it work? How could you make it work better? Right? Approach the campaign or approach your business from a learning point of view, from a curiosity point of view. Because ultimately what you want to do is help and support people. And so how would you help and support people? Like nobody finds a solution right away. Everybody goes through a process, whether it's in therapy, whether it's with mindset, whether it's with coaching, whether it's with building muscle, whether it's losing weight, going to the gym, building a relationship. Everything is a process. And so support yourself through finding a system or developing a system, right? Finding a system, you can join a community. I have a free community. If you check out the link in the description, you can do that, right? Or you can develop your own system. Now, developing a system of your own is going to take time, but it's more than possible. There's tons of people that have done it, okay? But you could shortcut that process by using a system that already works. So if you want to check out the community, there's a link in the description. It's called Growth Circle, and I host it free for you because I want you to learn and understand what this testing process is. Okay, and then once you've got all that, now with your new strategy, what is the new meaning that you develop? What is the new meaning that you find through this iterative process, right? Ultimately, these things will give you wins. They'll give you a feeling of that you're progressing with the effort, right? Now, I was going to write here trial and error, but it's actually trial and pursuit, if you want to call it that. And it's not errors, right? We're not working towards errors. We're working towards failing often so that we find winners. I'm just saying the same thing multiple times because I think it's important. Okay, we want to fall in love with the pursuit, the constant act of winning. And winning doesn't have to be, you're making money right away. Sorry, I'll scroll over. Winning doesn't mean that you're winning immediately or that you're making millions of dollars yet, right? Your ultimate goal is that. Your ultimate dream, your ultimate result is that you want to be making a lot of money and you want to be wildly successful. But wins could be, for the day, you published a new campaign. Or, hey, you know what? You can actually advertise regularly to put your word out there, to make content regularly, right? Wins could come in many forms. So you define your wins. I'm not saying lowering your standard. I'm saying set a standard that's attainable, that you can develop consistency and you can develop confidence in this process. And it's through daily actions, not just publishing content once a week or publishing ads once a week. It's going through an iterative daily process of looking at and seeing what are the results from the day before, what are the results from the week before, and then taking daily actions to make things better for yourself and for your clients. Okay, and so because of all of these things, once you have a new mindset, you have a new story for yourself, right? You wanna use the strategies and you want to develop emotion. So I mentioned some of these already, but you want to use a process of constant and never-ending improvement. An attitude of I can, I can win. I can do this. I am loved. I am enough. I am worthy. People do love me. Like, use affirmations if you want to, but develop a winning mindset, develop a growth mindset, because it's in growth, using a growth mindset, that you actually develop yourself and you start reinforcing this new belief that actually ads can print money for you, right? And so what does that give you? It, once you have the confidence and once you have the validation for yourself that your offer works, that you've changed things, that you've made changes, that you are actually progressing, you put more energy into you get more energy and you do more effort. I'm not saying more effort in terms of, going harder and hustling. I'm saying more effort in the right direction, right? Work on what works. This is important. Work on what works, because when something works, then you just continue doing that. Like, this is critical. And all of these things are going to generate excitement and optimism in you, because you have now found a way, you have found a blueprint for yourself, you have found a way to develop this mindset that, hey, ads can print money, I'm doing it for myself, and you know what, I'm on this journey. Because if you've ever tried to lose weight, and you've successfully lost weight, maybe you haven't reached your target weight, but you have been able to reduce your fat, you have been able to reduce your appetite, you have been able to push the plate away and say, hey, like, I've had enough, or not buy the cake, or not walk down the sweet aisle at 7-Eleven. Like, these things are important. These are the little wins that you have to take away every day, because those are the things that help you reinforce the effort and reinforce the journey. So, I know I'm talking about various things here, but I'd like you to look at yourself and look at the triggers that are causing you to procrastinate, the triggers that are causing you to not publish your ads. And like I said, if you want to join a community where we're talking about this stuff constantly, I'll have a look at your ad account. You can share your screen, or you can do Looms. We can go on sort of live calls, workshop style calls, do a hot seat, and, put your funnel, put your ads under scrutiny, so you can actually improve them, right? I can help you develop those strategies, develop that iterative process to say, hey, why don't we test this? Why don't we test that? If you're running out of ideas in terms of what creatives, obviously we work on creatives. Like, creatives is the new ads. Creatives is the new ad strategy, and it's all based around interests and interest groupings. And so, once you have this, and once you have these things in place, part of the community, like I said, the goal of the community is to help you cut the time down from learning it yourself. For me, I've been running ads for 10 years, and I would say, a lot of my campaigns were successful. Not saying all of them were. It's impossible that any advertiser would say that all of their campaigns were successful, because the truth is, not all campaigns are successful. So again, join the community. It's free. It's called Growth Circle. And if you want to take a step forward, obviously we can book a call. We do onboarding calls when you come into the community. So, join, we'll have a chat. I want to get to know you. I want to see sort of what you're promoting, what you're advertising, what you're trying to advertise. And hey, if you are running ads and your ads are already successful and you want to scale them, you know where they are and you know what you want to do with them, then join anyway, and we can support you at whatever level you're at. So I look forward to seeing you soon. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you like this video. I'll be doing these often. So thank you so much. Chat soon.